Hello, guys, and welcome to a new episode of Comic Book Weekly. And we're excited to be here. We apologize again that our scheduling has been a little bit infrequent. We are trying to get into the swing of things, but summer is always crazy for us, and we all got a lot of stuff going on. So hopefully we'll all be here next week. Mike is away, so he is not able to be on the show this week. But like I said, next week, hopefully we'll all be there. And then the week after that's 4th of July. So we're probably going to take off for the holiday.
Yeah,
I won't be here.
Yeah. So bear with us through the summer. It's like Kat said, it's always a trying time for all of us. And Mike's always got his camp stuff and all that kind of stuff. And he's got, traveling with other things this week. And then, things have gone crazy for me personally this summer in particular. I'm actually moving in 2 weeks. So a lot of stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just been doing prides every waking moment and Comic Cons and traveling. So it's just been, I think we all just need a nap. But so that's why it's been crazy. But thank you guys for being understanding. Really appreciate it. Mike Manhattan says, "Hey guys, just celebrated my 30th birthday today. It's really cool. Happy birthday."
Happy birthday, yeah.
That's awesome. So as we jump in, we're going to actually talk about the comics first, and then we're going to talk about the news because there's a good chunk of news because it was from 2 weeks. So let's jump into the comics. Let's pass the baton, Brant.
Yeah. So not a whole lot of comics this week, at least not on my pull list. I think I had 13 total.
This coming week, tomorrow, is going to be a ton.
Yeah, much bigger week this week, but I tried some new number ones this week because there were so few comics. So we'll talk about some stuff, but obviously there's one big book that we're going to talk about in a bit. But let's kick it off with Amazing Spider-Man number 27. So jumping right past that Miss Marvel stuff, just getting into the thick of Dr. Octopus. And what'd you think of this issue, though?
It was fine. Honestly, I was trying to remember what happened in it because I do think it was a kind of forgettable issue. But they deal with the Miss Marvel stuff a little bit in this issue. I'm guessing they're going to do more of a fallout in that regard. And then the cliffhanger, you get a little bit with, I believe, J. Jonah Jameson that we get to see a little bit of Dr. Octopus. And then the art was good. And then you have this opener with Black Cat, expecting it to be a Black Cat issue. It's like the problem I continue to have is that there's like little snippets of maybe possibly good stories, and then there's like two seconds of it. So there's not much of an actual story going on in this issue.
Yeah. It's like they wanted to like get Dr. Octopus back at the forefront, but in a weird way, because like his arms turned on him and they were like going after Spider-Man. So it's starting, planting the seeds of the return of Superior, I assume. But yeah, it was an odd issue where, like you said, they dealt with a little bit, but not a whole lot. And it's like, okay, that you got the feeling like that happened like a month ago. And it's like, okay, but where it just happened. So it was fine though. It was, better than some of the stuff we had been getting. So.
And again, I think it's because there was good art, and I do think there was, I guess, a little bit of a direction, but it's just not great.
No, it's definitely not the best Spider-Man run ever. And I'm looking forward to seeing something different in the future later on this year. We'll see what happens with it. But right now, like I said, better than it was. So it's something. Anyway, let's move on to the big book, the Void Rivals book.
Who knew?
Right? There was like always anticipation for this book because it's a Kirkman book, and it's like, okay, what's he going to do now? But I didn't see coming what was coming, and obviously we all know now. But yeah, the connection to Transformers and G.I. Joe in particular, which I'm sure excited you so much, Kat.
Oh yeah, so much. I think with this book it was so interesting because I bought it obviously because of the hype. I was like, all right, people are talking about this. I already knew what was happening in it because I knew from very early on in the day that I was like, all right, we have Transformers and G.I. Joe. One of my store managers, he was really recommending it like online. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll check it out. And I'll say it wasn't for me. I definitely understand the hype. And I think, it was interesting to see. But the actual characters, it's not a very character-driven issue. It's very much about like, oh, this world's connected, cool. But I don't feel like it stood on its own legs for me. So that doesn't mean I'm not going to try out G.I. Joe and Transformers, surprisingly enough, but just because it's such a wonderful creative team. I mean, Joshua Williamson is so good at everything he does. And then obviously same creator, Darren Warren Johnson for Transformers, or is it G.I.? I think it's Transformers.
Transformers, yeah.
Yeah, like I mean,
do a power bomb, yeah.
Yeah, he did a wonderful job with Dua Power Bombs. I'm going to give those issue 1s a try more than this Void Rivals. I'm curious to see if this Void Rivals, I guess it matters, but why does it exist, I guess?
Yeah, it wasn't, I mean, it's kind of weird because the book itself, like the story itself was fine. These, two warring races that find out they're similar. And now there's the mystery of why they're at war if they're the same, right? So it was an interesting read, but it wasn't like, without that connection it'd be like, okay, it was a fine read, it's whatever. But having that deeper connection and building a universe around those Hasbro properties makes it more interesting to me, at least as a longtime G.I. Joe fan especially, but also Transformers. And yeah, I'm very curious to see how these new characters fit into that overall universe and what kind of impact that's going to have. But I'm more excited, obviously, about the upcoming Transformers and G.I. Joe books, especially like you said, with those creative teams. There's so much of their work, especially Joshua Williamson. I'm more familiar with his work, Birthright and everything. I love a lot of what he's done. And I love Do a Power Bomb. So I'm really excited for these two. So much positives going forward, which is going to make me continue with Void Rivals, obviously, because of that connection. So, yeah, I was pretty excited. And I did get spoiled on it before I read it, but that just kind of got me anticipating, okay, how are they going to make that connection? And so I didn't know anything about it. So, yeah. Cool. We'll see what happens with it. Yeah.
And I just thought there was an interesting comment here. Mike Manhattan says, funny how news leaks worked being positive for Void Rivals and did the exact opposite for Spider-Man. Yeah, I don't know if the news leaked though, because it kind of, from what I thought happened, I thought it came out the day it was released, just people were talking about it.
Yeah, I think it was just people that read it early were excited and started tweeting about it really early. And it was kind of hard not to get spoiled if you were on social media at all that day. But with the Miss Marvel thing, that got leaked a week before because early copies got sent to shops and
more. I think it was a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was also something that we knew the Fallen Friend thing was coming, and it was there was already speculation towards who that could possibly be, and there was, I think that chatter was already out there. Whereas this was like, oh, this is huge. Yeah, this was huge for people that are fans of those properties, and everybody's wanting to talk about it. So it's a little bit different. But yeah, definitely more positive because it's something, we saw it, the license disappear at IDW. There was a lot of rumors where it was going to go. Skybound was in the talks, but then it just went silent. It's like, okay, what's going to happen now? And then boom, out of nowhere, which Kirkman likes to do. And I do appreciate that because, there are a few surprises left in comics these days.
And Skybound is such an interesting company because they're built on more independent books. So it's very interesting to see like this indie book, this Void Rivals, which is a Kirkman creation, somehow tie into these huge nostalgic properties. So I think if you're a fan of these properties, you should be excited. It looks like they're actually doing something big, where I feel like, well, and they also, even the G.I. Joe thing, which we'll talk about later, but Larry Hama, who's done a lot of the G.I. Joe stuff, is still doing his run. So all the people that love the IDW stuff can still love it. And I think it's a brilliant way to rejuvenate these franchises that haven't been in a while. I mean, even if you look at like the Transformers movie, like no one's talking about that right now. G.I. Joe, I mean, I don't know if many people have talked about it in a while, especially with the movies that didn't do as well.
Yeah, the G.I. Joe movies. I don't want to talk about it. I haven't seen Beast Wars yet. excited to see it still. I don't know, I haven't seen anything about it, but I'm a huge fan, and I love Beast Wars, so I'm definitely going to see that. But yeah, no, you're right. It's one of those things. It's from my childhood, right? And Kirkman's like almost a year younger than me, so we grew up around the same time with the same kind of content, and so I'm excited to see what he does with it, because he's, like I said, he grew up with the same stuff, so he's a fan like me of the same properties, and kind of farming that out to very talented creators, and kind of guiding that direction for that universe. So we'll see what happens, but yeah.
We do have Frank who said, "Hey guys, happy Tuesday. This comes at the heels of the Transformer movie shared universe reveal. Didn't even know that happened. We haven't gotten a good G.I. Joe. People, you think Skybound will be involved in the movie? I think they just have the comic rights from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean that's how that works, right? But it would be cool, like obviously Kirkman has Hollywood connections, so if he could like kind of get his way onto the production of a new G.I. Joe movie franchise, that would be great. But yeah, I don't think that's how that works.
We also have another question, which I don't even think you've seen the movie yet, Brand.
I'm
sure you haven't seen the movie yet. Have you? At least you haven't seen Spider-Man yet either, right?
No, we were gonna see it when we were traveling. We were gonna see it that weekend, and it didn't work out. And then when we got back, the whole house stuff happened, and we haven't had a chance to get out and see it yet. But that's the first thing we're gonna see when we go.
Yeah, no, I figured you've had a lot going on that you wouldn't have a chance to see it. But Tevye asks, how do you feel about the Flash movie bombing? I think bombing is a strong word, but not doing as well as expected. I think there's a lot of reasons, right? Like Ezra Miller didn't get the best track record, and then I think not being connected to the James Gunn universe doesn't help. I think a lot of people just thought it was like a filler movie. It's like, all right, I'll spend my money somewhere else. And also Spider-Verse came out like 2 weeks before, which is pretty much the same movie but better. So it's just like I think it just had a lot going against it. And I saw it. I thought it was a fine movie. It's not great. It's not like the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. It's fine. And I think that's it's just fine. And I think that's another reason why people didn't really go to box office, even though they definitely really try to market this movie. So you can't say it was not marketed like the Pixar movie that did really bad because no one even knows it's out.
Right. Yeah, I like I said, I haven't seen it, but I think the people that did go see it was probably for all the other stuff in the movie aside from Ezra Miller.
Yeah, it was the Michael Keaton stuff. Like that's why that's why me and my friends went. We were just like, yeah, we want to see Michael Keaton.
Yeah. And then everybody else is like, well, it'll mostly be on Max anyway, so we'll see it. So, and like you said, not connected to the stuff that's upcoming. It's kind of like the last leg of the previous stuff. So it's like, I could understand why people wouldn't go see it. I'd still like to see it in the theater, but Transformers and Spider-Man are going to be before that for me. So.
Which is crazy because there's so many movies. I just had like a really whirlwind of a few weeks. We hadn't gotten to see as many movies as we wanted to. And then with we wanted to see not Fantastic Four. Wow, that's not a movie that's out. That's how tired I am. Fast and Furious and even Transformers. Like we're like, oh, these seem like movies that could be fun, like AMC Stubs type movies.
Right.
And I feel like I don't know if it's like everybody, but like it just seems like these movies are also like getting out of theaters really quickly. Like I really want to see Fast and Furious, and it like went in and went out. And usually AMC kind of sticks these movies in for a little while, especially the franchise movies. I was shocked to see like there's like no showings for Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is with that particular one. I mean, those usually do pretty well at the box office, right?
And I think they did decently, I'm guessing, but
maybe I don't know. Who knows? Who knows who makes those decisions and why?
Yeah, no, I agree. But I guess let's go into our number 5.
Number 5, right? Yeah. So what was your number 5, Kat?
Mine was actually Spider-Man. So we talked about it. It's interesting because the weeks that we were not on were books I liked more than this week, which was just, honestly, some mediocre books.
Yeah. Like last week, we didn't get to talk about Dark Knights of Steel.
That was a solid issue.
Yeah.
Let me actually see what else came out last week. I thought Spider-Man actually was okay last week.
Yeah,
Yeah, Spider-Man issue 9.
yeah. I'm trying to remember what happened in it.
It was mostly at least like it was more about his spider sense and that going off. And I'm trying to think
Yeah,
what else happened too, because it's been a while. Because there's so many Spider-Man books that came out. But I remember reading it and being like, oh, I actually like genuinely had a fun time with that. But yeah, this week it was just really short. There wasn't a lot of books. But yeah, like you said, Dark Knights of Steel came out. That was the penultimate issue of that book.
right. Yeah, and the Flash 800, which I did not get a chance to read, came out last
It wasn't
week.
great.
Okay, I didn't figure, but Shazam, Noctera,
Yeah.
Steelworks, Star Signs, a bunch of books that I read. But yeah, getting back to this week, my number 5 was Wildcats number 8. I'm enjoying this book. I think it's good. Any other week, it probably wouldn't have made my top 5, but I still enjoy it. It's interesting to see the crossover with the wider DC universe in a different way. Like right now, Grifter is traveling through different universes while the rest of the team is still back on the main DC universe. And he's like found himself wrapped up in a team that consists of some Wildcats characters as well as a version of Damian Wayne and Midnighter from the Authority. And Damian actually ends up, this version of Damian ends up getting killed in this issue, and Destro gets killed as well. And so it's some crazy stuff going on, but it's interesting the way that they're tying that all together, and at the same time still keeping the core concept of Wildcats itself intact. So it's been a fun series so far, I think.
Well, I'm glad you've been enjoying. Is it like a maxi series? Is it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's an ongoing or if it's a maxi. I mean, this is up to issue 8. I know there's an issue 9, so I'm not sure how far it's going with it. So, yeah, if anybody out there knows, let us know, because we don't know.
We don't know everything.
We don't know everything. Moving on from that, another new series, Green Lantern number 2, issue 2. Issue 1 was pretty solid. I liked it. What'd you think of issue 2? Did it?
Yeah, no, I like this book. It does have like a very Jeff Johns nostalgia to it that's grounded, and I'm sure they'll do more with the actual lanterns and the cores moving forward. I think I always have reservations of Carol, and I don't know if she's treated the best in this book. I'm just like, she really does feel designated to just being the girlfriend. And I know, obviously, we've seen Jeremy Adams, right? So I feel like there's probably a bigger plan for her, but as of right now, she's just the girlfriend. Like, okay.
Yeah, kind of caught in between the two guys too. I did think it was interesting that the one guy thought, oh, Hal's cool, and he's kind of becoming a fan of her ex, and he's trying to weasel his way back into her life any way that he possibly can. I thought that was interesting, at least. But I do think I have faith in the way that Linda was handled in The Flash. I have faith that we'll see more from Carol going forward. But I agree. Right now she's kind of stuck in that role a little bit. But it's a fun book, and I do like him being more grounded. I like him on Earth more than just out there dealing with all the cosmic stuff. I like seeing Kilowog in this issue as well. So, but not a whole lot happened. So it's just kind of all right. We'll see where things are going. They're still in the building up phase.
For sure.
Yeah. So Click Click Boom, a new number 1 issue from
Got this
Image.
only because it was a short like a short week.
Yeah. Did you not like it then?
No, I did. I just didn't. It wasn't on my radar. It was just like, okay, there's not a lot of books coming out, and this looks kind of interesting. And honestly, I did enjoy it. I thought it was an interesting concept that this girl only speaks through photos, and I guess she's an anti-hero, we'd call her for now. And then she meets up with this reporter, and they're very like two different type of people, and you're like, oh well, how did they get in this situation together, and how did they interact with each other? And I just thought it was a very different type of book, so I liked it. Did it again blow me away and be like, I can't wait for issue 2? No, but like I think it definitely gave me enough to want to get issue 2.
Yeah, it's my number 6 this week. I liked it too. I like the concept of she's mute, she can't talk, and like you said, communicates through these Polaroids. It's an interesting way to go with that character, and we don't know like anything about her because obviously she can't tell us her past. We're seeing little glimpses of how she was trained, but I thought it was an interesting story, and it got me curious to know why she's doing what she's doing, and how these people affected her life. And I guess that's where the reporter comes in. So yeah, I think it was enough in a not like huge week that I would pick up issue 2 and see what's going on. So
yeah, I agree.
All right. So our number 4s, mine was actually Green Lantern. So what was yours?
Mine was, let me check. Let's see. I think it was Spider-Gwen Shadow Clones issue 4.
Oh, I didn't even realize it came out. I think I mean, yeah, go ahead. I was going to say I don't think I read the last issue. I think I ended up kind of inadvertently dropping it. So
it's not a book that's gonna change your world, but it's better than what we've been getting with Spider-Gwen, and I like the villain. It honestly reminds me of like the previous Silk miniseries, where it's like, okay, at least they're like continuing something. Again, is it like really shaking up Silk's world? No, but it's like a fun enough read to see what this character's up to, and like I liked it enough.
Gotcha. Cool. I saw this comment from a working mathematician. Green Lantern 3 will not come out until September because of Night Terror. I forgot about that cliffhanger.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. I see. This is what I was worried about with these events, that, you start a brand new series and you get 2 issues in, and then you upset the entire run with this event. And I hate it when books do that.
DC does it a lot.
Yeah, they do. And they haven't done it for a bit, but that frustrates me so much. That killed like so many books during like even during the New 52. Yeah. And
I remember that. Especially Batgirl. Especially Batgirl.
That had the one I was thinking of, yeah.
Yeah. It's so many interruptions.
Yeah. That sucks. I wish they'd learned from their lessons with that.
Yeah, I think they just want to sell this because this is like their future state. It's like literally they're stopping almost every title except some select few. I think like Steelworks is still going on. It's weird, and I honestly think DC has done a good job at doing their issue 1s and spreading the love and not just doing Batman series. So it's a shame, like you said, that they're kind of ruffling the feathers already.
Did you like Steelworks? Because I was just like, it's okay.
I liked it enough to get issue 2, but like nothing that was like, oh my god, it still works. I like that Lana was in it. We haven't seen her in a while, and obviously, like I like that it's very different characters that you don't get to see very often, and I'm kind of curious. But if I never read issue 2 again, I don't think I'd be heartbroken. But at the same time, I think it gave me enough to want to see where the series goes.
Okay, I think it's going to depend on the week for me, but we'll see. All right, so the next book we're going to talk about then is Captain America: Cold War Omega.
Yeah,
ended with a
drop.
Yeah,
yeah. I think I'm dropping. I think there's a few more issues left with this creative team. I think I'm done. I really gave it a shot, and I was just like, I liked how it started, and it just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, when it started the crossover with the other book, and then got into the meat of this story, it fell apart for me. And then this issue in particular, I did not like the way it ended, the way that it got resolved between Bucky and Cap, just like so cleanly, and with the exposition of Captain America just reciting his whole plan, like, oh yeah, I get it now. And it's like, okay, it just did not come together the way that I had hoped it would. I think there should have been more of a confrontation there. It shouldn't have been so clean. It almost felt like, okay, we got to wrap this up in this issue. Let's get really abrupt with it and just lay everything out for you. And it just did not deliver for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you.
All right.
Who's running? Oh, it's JMS who's going to be doing Cap America.
Yeah. So, we talked about that last time we were on all together, and I'm kind of iffy about that. So, yeah.
The first issue.
What's that?
I'll get the first issue, see where, goes. But
yeah, I just don't have high hopes, and this one kind of burned me. So, I was so excited about this. You and I were both really on board with this one early on. So,
and then just like you said, went nowhere.
All right, so moving on to our number threes then. Mine was Amazing Spider-Man. So we already talked about that. What was yours?
Mine is Green Lantern. We already talked about it.
All right. Okay, so let's see. Next is Spider-Man India, number one.
Man, I didn't like this one. And it's because you haven't seen Spider-Man yet Across the Spider-Verse, but he's a fun character in the movie, and it's like a very interestingly visual world and character that they have there. And I feel like they did not play with that here. It was not very interesting to look at. It was not a very interesting story. And like I wanted them to play with his heritage more, and they just don't really do it in this issue.
No, there were like obviously a little bit of the culture was, but very little. It wasn't like Miss Marvel, and her culture. It was it just wasn't showcased as much here. And at first you started off like, okay, this is kind of cool, him hanging out with Peter and Miles, whatever. But then they just kind of basically regurgitated classic Spider-Man stories with the lizard and all that stuff. And it was not, I was expecting something a little fresher, I think. Something
same.
Yeah. And
it
was
again,
just
even visually, just the art was kind of boring.
Yeah. And it was just the same stuff, that we've seen over and over again. So yeah, I was a little disappointed by that. I don't think I'm going to get issue 2.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I'm not going to issue 2 either.
So number 2, what was your number 2 then?
Mine was Click Click Boom. We already talked about it.
Okay. Mine was Captain Marvel, but it came out too late. Because Miss Marvel's there and she's alive and well, right? And it's like, it was a okay issue. It was a nice send off, but this was something we'd already seen, that double page spread with all the characters there months ago. So there was nothing special in that, and it was okay, but it was disappointing that this didn't come out before Miss Marvel died. I think it would have been better then, because now it's like, oh well, okay, this happened, so it is what it is. But yeah, that's the end of it, right? That's the end of her run.
It is, but I'm also just more excited for Kelly Thompson, which we'll talk about in the news. I'm just more excited for Kelly Thompson's Birds of Prey anyway, especially the way she's been like talking about it. It seems very like I would say with Hawkeye, I want to compare it to that, where you could tell that every issue, and even Black Widow, every issue means something. It almost feels like a creator own book from what I'm seeing, and I'm very excited for that. I feel like those characters deserve that.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll talk about it, the lineup for that. All right, so then we've got Ghost Lore number 2, which I'll just say I'm dropping.
Interesting.
I don't know. I liked issue 1 was fine, but this issue went a different. It just went a different route than I expected, and
it was definitely a different book, which I thought was. It kind of made me want to read another issue though. Because okay. Like, oh, this is like better than the first. Not that it was great. It's not on my top 5 or anything. But I was like, oh, I'm like kind of interested to see where this goes.
It was definitely more. There was more going on in this issue. Mm-hmm. Obviously, last issue was building up to it, and then the big reveal at the end of what this actually was and what was going on and everything. But I just didn't love, he's got this mission now, that's his calling or whatever. And I don't know. It wasn't my thing. So not that it was bad or anything. I'm glad it got you invested in it a little bit more. But.
I think that's a strong word, but I think it got
interesting. How about that?
Yeah, it gave me enough to be like, all right, because I want to see where their relationship goes. And I really didn't love the first issue. And I was like, all right, at least this kind of has a direction. And I like the art for the most part. I don't think it's the strongest from this artist, but we'll see. It reminds me a lot of Regression, which I thought was an okay series.
Yeah, I didn't like Regression, so that makes sense that I liked the first issue better, just because it was the anticipation of what is this thing. So, but
I don't even know how long this is. Is it a mini series?
Probably.
Yeah, it's a mini.
I don't know.
I also feel like I could finish it more than not knowing when it ends.
Yeah. I mean, it's Cullen Bunn. They never last that long.
No, right? They definitely don't. No.
He does so much. All right, so that was the last book we have to talk about. So we're just up to our number ones, which obviously mine's Void Rivals, mostly again because of the Transformers and G.I. Joe stuff.
And mine was a Second Coming because
oh, okay,
yeah, I love
I
that
didn't
book.
realize that came out. Yeah,
Yeah, that's that was a really obvious one. It was really the book I
yeah.
enjoy. I just love it. I think it's a great.
Mhm.
It's a comedy. It's a parody, but also there's always like something to say about humanity. And yeah, not to go into too much detail with this issue in particular, but every issue doesn't disappoint, and I recommend it if you. And also, I feel like it's a series. Yeah, it's on its third volume, but you don't really need to read everything. You could
They're
probably
all
honestly pick up.
standalone each volume.
Yeah, for the most part, they're not. I mean, you really just need to know that Jesus is a roommate with a superhero. And that's literally all you need to know. Every issue does its own thing, which is nice because there's not a ton of indie comics in particular that do that.
Yeah. And the writer is remind me who the writer is.
Mark
It's
Russell.
Russell, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't loved a lot of his work. And it's not even the Jesus thing that like turned me off or whatever. It was just I'm not a big fan of some of the stuff he's done. So
I didn't love a lot of his stuff either until this book.
okay.
Because I'm trying to think of a book that I like enjoyed from him before that. It was probably only Flintstones, and even that kind of fell off for me. So yeah, mostly I just like this book.
Such an odd bibliography he has.
He definitely does. I think he just likes really outrageous comedy, like parodies, that's what comedy, political comedy
yeah,
that he
definitely
really likes.
he likes to skirt that line a little bit, yeah, for sure.
But what I like and I appreciate about the book is that I think you could when you talk about comedy and religion, it's usually very easy just to say like, oh, let's talk about like how religion sucks. And a big part of the book is like, yeah, maybe the system of religion's not good, but there are still, they treat God and Jesus as like people. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, where it's like towing the line in an interesting way, where it's like, I think any type of person can read it. If you're an atheist, you could like this book. If you are Catholic, you might like this book. If you're Muslim, you might like this book. Like I like that they don't try to like teeter on one side. So I thought, I think that's a success of it.
Yeah, nice. I'm glad you're still enjoying it. I know it's usually in your tops.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's always, at least when there's weeks like this and Second Coming comes out, I'm like, all right, at least I know I'm gonna like really enjoy one book.
Yeah. All right. So do we want to do most anticipated first or news?
Let's do news and then we'll go into most anticipated.
Okay. So we want to talk about Kickstarter.
Yeah, exactly. So you do your Kickstarter first because you actually have a comic. I don't have a comic until next week.
Okay. Do you mind?
Yeah, I can share.
I don't know if my internet's gonna hold up for me.
No. Much rather you be on for the whole show.
Yeah. Right, so I think I've got 13 days left on this. This is Pneumatic Cases.
12 now.
12 days. Pneumatic Cases Volume 1, Steampunk Murder Mystery. This is by John Wilson and Roll Roke are the creative team behind it. It collects all 4 issues of the series plus a brand new 16-page story featuring their future granddaughter and dinosaurs and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. But this has been one of our best-selling series through Last Ember Press, actually. And it was the last campaign we did for this at the time was our largest campaign to date. So this one is doing pretty well. We're not quite at goal yet, but we've got it, like I said, 12 days to go. You can check out a bunch of details on there. We just added a new add-on today, and we've got another big reward we're going to drop hopefully later this week. If not, it'll be early next week, but I think we're going to try to drop it this week, and hopefully people will be excited about that. And if you're new to the series, we've got a really cool looking collector box that collects everything. So you can check it out, or you can just check out the first issue if you want to do it that way. So please check it out. You can check it out at lastemberpress.com/PC, or just search Pneumatic Cases on Kickstarter.
Definitely go check it out. I'm going to also put the link in the description so you guys could. No problem. And yeah, mine's really, really quick. It's just enamel pins. So if you guys are queer, you got some queer friends, go check out our enamel pins. We We have every color of the rainbow at this point. And this time around, we're selling non-binary, pansexual, and lesbian pins. So go check it out. It's kind of our smaller campaign until we have Slice Life next week, which is our I would say our flagship comics. So go check that one out as well. But that will be on Monday. I'll promote that next week. But yeah, go check out our pins if you enjoy queer pins. All right, let me share that in the comments, and then we are gonna get to some news. I just want to see if there's any comments I missed here. I don't think so, though. All right, let's get into that news. First up, let's talk about the topic of this video, which is actually came out, I think today, or maybe it was yesterday. Emma Frost and Tony Stark are getting married. Now, I do not read Iron Man currently.
Oh, really?
Are you? Yeah, because I didn't like it.
Okay, I am reading it still. Yeah.
So how do you feel as reading the book?
It just came out of nowhere. Like there's been very little interaction between the two, right? I think she showed up, for a reason or something. I know they're crossing over with X-Men because of the Sentinels and all that stuff. But there's I don't know where this comes from. Like, it almost feels like this is some kind of arranged marriage to break peace between the superheroes and the mutants. Maybe, who knows? I don't know what this is. It's weird because usually when they interact, it's.
But I think Brant did freeze a little bit, which is crazy because his internet has actually been pretty good up to this point.
Did I cut out?
Oh, there we go. A little bit.
You're
So
right.
you're saying you're talking about their interactions?
Yeah, I was trying to say, like, they've been kind of, there's like mutual disdain between the two of them, right? They're not like friendly with each other. Just maybe I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what this is. What did you hear me say? I don't know what I said before.
You pretty much cut off after, like, you didn't really go into too much detail. You were just saying, like, this is how their interactions have been.
Yeah. Did I say what did I say? I don't even remember what I said now. I don't know. Anyway, it just feels like arranged. I don't know. I don't know where this is coming from. So we'll have to see how this plays out. Like I said, they crossed over, like, between X-Men and Iron Man with the Sentinels. I think I did say that before I got cut off.
You did say that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You did it. You did say that one. Oh, yeah. You're saying about, like, how this could be an opportunity for the X-Men and, maybe the Avengers to, like, make peace. Right. You were saying that.
Yeah, I mean, like, is this going to be the big thing from the Hellfire Gala this year is what I'm assuming. And like, what's the purpose of this? Is this a ruse? Do they madly fall in love immediately? What's going on here? I don't know. This is so weird.
I'm guessing a ruse.
Yeah, that's my guess too. It's some kind of, thing. Maybe it's a way for him to get his company back. Who knows?
I'm just kind of tired of, like, Iron Man being set up with all these random people.
Right?
First, it started with, honestly, Dan Slott's run, because you had Janet originally.
Yeah.
This is a while back. There was Janet,
and then that was good. Them two together, but then they just, like, done. And then Hellcat, yeah,
Hellcat was the big one, obviously, and now this. So it's like, why? It just doesn't seem like they know what to do with Iron Man.
Yeah, it's like they just took him back to his roots. Oh, he's just going to hook up with every woman in the Marvel universe, and I hate that. I mean, I don't know. And it's like we saw it. I don't know if you read it, but I think it was an X-Men where Emma was on the beach and Scott came up and he was like, because him and Jean are having problems, and he was like, and she was like, nah, dude. And then she just walked away. One. Yeah, he was just like, oh, I'm having problems with Jean. I'll go warm up to Emma now. And she's like, nah. And she just walks off, and he's like, oh, okay. And then it's like, I don't know what's going on. It's so all over the place.
Very inconsistent, for sure.
Yeah.
Mostly, I'm glad I'm not reading Iron Man. And I'm not reading X-Men either. I mean, I love my Emma, but this one seems like I can. I mean, I'll probably get the issue just for the sake of getting the issue, but I don't really feel too invested.
It's got to have something to do with these Iron Man Sentinels, because that's obviously impacting all mutantdom. So it's got to have something to do with that.
No, I agree. Let's get into some other pieces here. So this one I want to talk about quickly. Batman Day has a comic coming out, 3 comics coming out. Most of them are reprints, but the one of them has a 10-page story teasing the Batman versus Catwoman story arc, which I was like, all right, that's at least cool that they're trying to do something that's new. I don't always understand why they do the Batman Days, or it's just like these reprints, and I don't know exactly who they're targeting. Maybe new people, but if you're going to a comic book store, they probably are picking up the Batman stuff they want. Like, I kind of wish they were like promoting it somewhere else besides a comic book store.
Yeah. If you're gonna do this, if it's to bring new readers in, get it in more places, and if it's for the comic fans, release more new stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. It just feels like it's like a half mission right now. Again, like bring it to a library. That's like a great place to have it, or bring it to. Honestly, a library is just fine.
Or do like a library is fine. If you're gonna do that, like do a print version of the webtoon. Like bring that out, introduce people to it that way. Yeah, right.
I don't know why they haven't done that. There's so many people that love that webtoon. Like I know people that are just do not read Batman comics at all, but maybe like Batman in their past is like an animated show, and they read the webtoon because it's easy. You could be like waiting on the grocery line, be like, all right, I'm gonna read some Batman. And it's like that was fun. And I do hope they do a little bit more of that within the traditional market.
And for anybody, real quick, for anybody that hasn't read the webtoon, and I'm behind on it, but it's good in that anything you've read from the comics, all those connections with all the characters from Duke to Stephanie, it exists, and it you can make it make sense within the context of the stuff you've read in the comics, but at the same time, it's completely own thing, and it's fun, and it's. You don't have to be totally invested in all that. So,
no, I've read not all of it, but a couple of chapters here and there, and I always had fun reading it. Like, especially if you like a particular character, they do a good job at like spotlighting characters that might not get the spotlight all the time. So, go check it out. And Batman Day, maybe release something with the webtoon. The other thing we got here, we already talked about it a bit, but the G.I. Joe American Hero. Do you have more opinions for that series in particular?
I'm just happy to see it continue. So for anybody that doesn't know, it started at Marvel years and years ago. Larry Hama did the whole thing, ended at 155, I'm wanting to say. And then IDW picked up that run from that point and took it to 300. And
which is a lot.
And then it ended, and we thought that was the end of it. And now hearing that it's going to continue even more, it's just really cool. And he has such a history with the franchise. He wrote like the descriptions of the characters on the back of the toy packages. Wrote that whole run of Marvel, like I said. So love to see that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's move on to the next thing here, which is, sorry if you hear some background noise. Let's talk about the new look for Captain Marvel. Let me spotlight that. So the Captain Marvel, let's get a screen share. As I do that, I'll mute myself.
So yeah, as you're pulling this up, this puts me in mind of when they put Spider-Woman in the motorcycle getup. I don't love it, or like Kate Pride and the pirate stuff. I just very similar feels to me. I like the current costume, but then again, I liked the old one before that one, and then I got used to that one, and this one I don't know. I don't love it. But it's still better than the version when she had like the mohawk, when she was like Civil War II and all that stuff. I really didn't like that one, but
I like it. I think it's fun. I don't mind like the Kate Kitty Pride stuff, the Jessica Drew costumes we've seen. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like it. We'll see. I just want a good Captain Marvel book. I know, issue 50 issues, and I love Kelly Thompson. That was a lot, so I'm curious to see what new direction this character will go.
Yeah, I will say I don't hate it. I just don't love it. It's not like, but it's fine.
She looks like she works for Hydra. Let me see if there's any other stuff over here. All right, let's get into the next thing, which is G. Willow Wilson's going to return for that Fallen Hero book, which I'm happy. We need it. We need her voice again.
Yeah, and what a monumental event for her to come back for the character, I guess. But yeah, we definitely need her voice on that character. It's just sad that it's the death of the character, at least for now. Obviously that's not going to hold.
Mm-hmm. No, hopefully it won't hold for too long. I would like it to be like a month and she comes back. I wouldn't even care. All right, next up is we don't know the lineup yet, but the Ultimate Universe is returning, as we know. We'll have that book tomorrow, which I'm very excited to read, and we'll talk about that. But it does look like it's going to have a new lineup of books, which I'm sure will be an Avengers book, a Spider-Man book, and an X-Men book, like they've had in the past.
Yep. That's always the case, right? I'm just, I'm interested to see like what exactly they're going to do with it. And I know we've talked about like, is Miles going to end up back in the Ultimate Universe? I think that would, I don't know if you can walk that back at this point. Yeah, I don't think you can.
Or maybe a different Spider person. Well, maybe they'll do like Jessica Drew or someone fun like that. Could be a really cool Spider person.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I hope they do some completely different stuff and some interesting stuff and put some really strong creative teams on it, whatever they do.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm interested to see what they end up doing with that. And hopefully, I have a feeling we'll probably get the answer of San Diego. I mean, San Diego is like a month away, so we'll probably get the answer there. All right, moving on to, we talked about this a little bit earlier, we alluded to it, but the Birds of Prey lineup, which I'm just so stoked for this comic. I think it's going to be great. But we have Harley, we have Cassandra, we have Big Barda, we have obviously Dinah, and then we have the one, she's from Wildcats, I think, right?
Zealot, yeah.
Zella. I don't know her as much, but the art's just incredible. It's also, I like that it's a different team. It's not like your run-of-the-mill Birds of Prey. There's a lot of fan favorites here. I'm just super excited for it. I hope it lives up to the expectations.
Yeah, Big Barda was an odd choice to me, but we'll see what I have faith in Kelly Thompson to this is a interesting cast of characters, and Zealot really fits in well with especially Cassandra. I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic. She's she's like a warrior, and her and Bardo will have some similarities. It's going to be an interesting dynamic. I can't wait to see what she does with this team.
I'm so freaking excited. We have two comments here. So Tillam M says maybe Hickman would kill off Miles. I think after you kill off Miss Marvel, I don't think you're going to kill off Miles. No. And also, like, the movie did, only pretty well. I don't think that's going to happen. The other question is from Tevia. Do you think Bendis will return to Marvel for Ultimate Marvel Comics? No, I think he's definitely done with Marvel, and especially why go back to that? Like, I don't, and maybe I'm completely wrong. There's definitely like big hitters that return to the thing that made them known, but I don't know if that's the smartest plan for Bendis. And also, the whole point of the reason why Bendis left was that he didn't really make, and maybe he made more money now, but like, Marvel still owned Miles. Like, Miles is like one of the biggest new characters in movies, but Marvel's making that money, not him.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to see him come back for like a one shot or a mini or something like that, just to, for that nostalgia purpose. But I'd rather see some new creators take it on.
Yeah, same. I agree. I look, maybe like a Donny Cates would be interesting too.
Yeah.
To do something like that. Except Naomi was a failure, but that was a DC comic. That's not even his own. So I really do think he's focusing just on his own books right now and collecting a lot of books too, like a lot of his older books to get it to different markets.
I still say that first mini was good, but
for Naomi, I like Naomi. I don't think it was. I think if you look at failure, maybe it was a failure because the show didn't do well. But I think as a comic, like, it did fine. Mr. Negative says it's supposed to be a completely new version of the Ultimate Universe. We'll probably be seeing newer creators on it. Cool.
Yeah. That said, Hickman's doing the one tomorrow, right? Hickman
is,
Hitch. So I mean, that's classic stuff going on there.
Tevia says Bendis created Naomi, but creator owned and created are different things. He created Miles, but it's not creating her own character
Yeah,
because it's owned by DC or Marvel. Still
right.
work for hire.
I mean, look at Deadpool.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
yeah,
Rob Liefeld might have created the character, but Marvel still owns that character.
hmm
Moving on to another book I'm really excited for, and that is The Wasp Leading the Avengers Inc., which freaking haven't heard that title in a long time.
right.
But this looks really cool. You have Vision, like I said, you got Janet, and I'm trying to see who wrote it because I remember liking. Oh, Aloe Wing's writing it, I think,
Yeah,
and then
with Leonard Kirk on the art, which is phenomenal artist. And it's interesting because it's more like a noir kind of spy thing going on, and that I
it's
like.
different. That's
Yeah,
what I like
exactly.
about it.
That's what I was trying to say, and I don't know, it just wasn't coming out. But yeah, it's different. It's a different take on the team. Hopefully, it's a good story, and we're raving about it when it comes out. But I'm excited for it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely be picking that one up. All right, so that's all the comic news. We are gonna go into some media news here. We're gonna be saving Craven for last, but I want to talk about the Flash director. Looks like he's gonna be doing the Batman Brave and the Bold, and really the only reason I want to talk about that is I think that he did a really good job at Batman's movements. Like it really reminded me of like Batman the Arkham Asylum, like those games. So
Cool.
that could be really cool to see like how that turns out with those
Yeah.
new movies and what that looks like.
Nice.
And then you want to talk about our Terminator, our Terminator
Yeah.
character, Linda Hamilton is going to be joining Stranger Things season 5, which is interesting because I'm like, as a character, because she's like from that era, and that show is so much about like making references of that era. So it's like, does Terminator not exist then?
I just think it's cool because obviously Stranger Things is a very 80s infused property, and kind of having those throwbacks and just for like a little fan service. I just think it's cool to toss her. I don't know what she's doing. I didn't actually read the article. I just saw the name. I was like, okay, cool.
Let me see if they mention it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know if they do. They just said she's joining the cast, and that's it. We don't know who she's playing.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a lot of 80s stars and people known for 80s stuff in that show, so it just makes sense, and it's cool, especially if she's got an action-oriented role. That would be cool. So.
Oh, that is actually true. I saw it. It hasn't pulled up yet. Here we go. Mike Manhattan says Sean Astin appears in the show, and the Goonies exists. That is true. It's still strange to me, but
yeah. And that article actually mentioned Carrie Elways, who was in Princess Bride, which was also then, and Winona Ryder, of course, was one of the.
That's true. Yeah. But I feel like the boys, like when I'm thinking about like franchises they're watching, right? I'm not thinking they're watching Heathers, so I was like, okay, that can still exist. But like to the Terminator, I think they're watching Goonies. I think they're watching.
Most likely, yeah. Or they're too busy, fighting the Upside Down. But
that's true. Maybe that's why they haven't caught up on all their movies. They haven't gone to the movie theater. But last but not least, we do have the Kraven trailer. Brant, did you see the trailer?
I did watch it this time. So
it's something.
It's interesting that Quicksilver is now Kraven, but it's a different take on Kraven, and it's a mature, like there's a red band trailer for this thing out there. It gets very brutal, but Kraven's kind of a hero in this, which is an odd take.
Yeah, what's his I think my biggest problem is like, what's the conflict?
Now the one thing I will say positive about it, at the very end we start to see the glimpse of a brand new version of Rhino, and I was just so thankful that this is not Paul Giamatti Rhino. And I'm excited for that at least. But the only motivation here is to kind of rebel against his father.
He also has powers, I think.
Yeah, powers.
Which, I mean,
go ahead.
I guess Kraven has, but not really. Like, they don't really talk about it. Like, I mean, Kraven, I don't know. I feel like he always had a connection to nature, but I never thought about it as like a superpower.
Yeah,
Maybe it's Brant did
I
pause a
mean,
little bit, but maybe it's more mystical. You paused for a second, but what were you gonna say?
sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say it's like Spider-Man in a way where he got bit by a radioactive
Mm.
spider. The blood from the animal dripped into his blood, and somehow he got. I don't know what he gets. Does he get the abilities of he's gets some kind of connections, like you said, supernatural connection to these animals and whatever. But we don't really see like what he's hunting. What we know from Kraven from the comics is he's like a big game hunter, and so Spider-Man's the ultimate game, and this is
Mm-hmm.
going a completely different direction, which is fine. They went a different direction with Venom, and it turned out okay.
This
Uh,
doesn't bring. Oh, actually, I did not like the trailer of Venom, and I ended up liking the movie. But this seems more
right.
Morbius than anything. This kind of looks boring.
I hope it's better than Morbius, because if it's Morbius, then it's not good.
It's
But
Morbin time.
yeah.
You
But
didn't? You
we'll
never
see.
heard that meme from when Morbius? Everyone like was saying it's Morbin time, and like people were making fun of it, and it's like
No,
this
I
whole
hadn't
thing.
heard that. That's funny
Yeah.
though. Yeah. Uh,
Oh,
let's hope
yeah.
it's more Venom and less Morbius. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I hope so, especially because again, the Spider-Verse movies were fun, and Sony's actually like doing something interesting with them, and even Venom, like we mentioned, like that was a surprise hit. So, well,
Uh,
they also got the Spider-Woman movie coming up too.
yeah. I think Morbius is definitely going to take the cake on those three, but as worse. But that's my opinion.
I
We'll
think
see.
the Spider-Woman one's coming out in November.
Okay.
Believe it or not, it's coming
Wow.
out
Really?
soon. Yeah, I think so.
Because this one
Maybe
comes out in
October.
October.
Let me see. Maybe it's 2024. Madam Web release date. It's February
Okay.
2024.
So probably.
But still,
First, yeah.
that's pretty soon.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's crazy. But that's all the news. So we did talk about Kraven. There's literally not much to say about that trailer, which is also another whole nother thing that it's just like, there's not much substance. But we are gonna go
Before
on.
we do, I'll tell you what Lisa said. She was looking at it,
Mhm.
she's like, he's kind of scrawny for Kraven. And I'm like, well, that's the Quicksilver guy. And she was like, but he's huge in the comics. I'm like, I mean, he's muscular, but she's like, he's kind of, skinny for Kraven. That was her
He has
only
a weird
comment.
structure. Yeah, like his because he's obviously buff. Like he's buff for
Yeah.
him,
Oh,
but he's
yeah.
like just
He's just
the
a thin
actors.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He's not. He's the look. Tom Hardy is a bigger guy.
Yeah. I think it's because he's so tall, he's more lanky. And
Mm-hmm.
just he's built, but he's not like bulky. Yeah.
Tevye asks, "What will the writer strike affect everything?" With these
Hmm.
movies, they're already done.
Yeah.
Probably not. Movie wise, I don't know, but look, it will affect a lot of things, especially as you get into your fall TV shows.
Yeah, more TV than movies.
Mm.
Like we've seen that before. I remember back when Heroes was on it, that whole season, like months of TV was just kind of
Because movies are planned so far in advance. They're,
right.
there's years and years and all that. But like with TV, it's a little bit of a quicker turnaround.
Right. All right. So as you were saying, we'll get into our most anticipated now. I purposely changed up mine because I mean, well, because yours were I didn't want to copy you, and I am
You're
anticipating
allowed.
yours as well.
You're allowed to cheat.
But I am anticipating some of these also. So Nightwing number 105 is one just because of the way this issue is going to be done. And I know a lot of people have already read it, but we're seeing through his eyes, and I think that's interesting, especially with Bruce Redondo doing the art. I'm curious about this issue. So
I think the reason I worry about it a little bit, because sometimes when they do like this big grand stuff, the story is not as interesting.
true.
Like
Yeah.
the remember the one where he was like that one long scene, and it was every page was just like a continuing that scene. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a cool concept, but the story is just
Yeah.
fine.
It's visually it's going to be cool story wise. We'll see. Right. But I'm anticipating for that visual experience, so we'll see.
Totally different.
Batgirl. Yeah, Batgirls is one of yours. Last issue.
That's why I'm really excited for it. Not that it's the last issue, because I genuinely have been enjoying this series for especially the later end. But at least we'll have Cassandra with Kelly Thompson. Like, I'm glad that we'll see her. I'm a little worried that we won't be seeing Stephanie. I hope we get to see her somewhere else. I hope we get another Batgirl series at some point, because it's such a shame that we don't have one again.
I thought for sure Stephanie would be part of Birds of Prey. I'm confused like what they're doing with that character now, and maybe we'll get some insight from this issue, maybe not. But yeah, I'm sad to see it go because I have enjoyed it. Like you said, this last little run of it has been really good. So
Yeah.
glad I stuck with it though.
Yeah, look, I was always gonna stick with it. So
Yeah, well, the Avengers #2. I really like the first
this was
issue.
close
And
for me.
yeah, and Jed McKay is just killing it, and I'm curious to see like we're planting seeds for this big thing that's coming for I forget what it's called, the Chaos something, for them. So it's going to be a good run, I hope. Hellcat #4, always a good read for me. This book.
This is the penultimate issue, I think, too. So we have
Yeah,
we don't have too
and
much
she's
going on with it.
yeah, and digging into more of her past with the demonic stuff coming out in this issue.
I love it. I think it's such a fantastic book, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I really, I just think it's so different, and that's what I want to see in a superhero comic is just give me something different, but also still give me something that is very much in vein of the character. And I think Hellcat does a perfect balance of that. We do have a question from McGaw.
I was just gonna say about Hellcat real quick. I'm sad that Mike couldn't get into it.
I know.
Yeah, because I love it. I think it's so good, and the art that I was hesitant about when we talked about when we first saw the previews. Well. Oh, it works so well with it. Yeah, but go ahead with.
And also, like I was gonna just say, also that I think it's a reverse murder mystery, which I like. And also, so it's like horror. So I thought Mike would like it, but can't read everything. But yes, let's read the comments. So Parker Lux says, "I can't believe that you're not talking about John Romita Sr. passing this week. Are you waiting for Mike to be a part of the discussion?" I always have this caveat about talking about people who pass away on the show. For the longest time I have. It's just like, I love celebrating the people, but I'd rather just celebrate it when they haven't passed, like, cause I don't know, passing away is news. It just like always feels weird to me. So that's why we tend not to talk about it.
Yeah, we usually mention it and then we kind of move on because we also don't want to bring the show down. We want to bring it up, and these creators, obviously they need to be celebrated, and it's
I'd rather celebrate them throughout life, like I'd rather mention his work in a different way than like he passed, so now let's talk about how awesome he is. Like I'd rather be talking about how awesome people are all the time.
I think and with him in particular, there's no denying his impact on the industry and everything he did. So it's very sad, but yeah. Kat said it best, so I don't really have anything else to add.
So let's get the next one. Well, this name changes that I'm current on Hellcat. Yeah, I think everyone should be. I think it's just such a fantastic series, and I haven't been this invested in a mini series from Marvel in a long time, because obviously there's some great ongoings out there, but it's just like this little pocket of Marvel that I really enjoy, that I feel like Marvel hasn't really dug into in a while. Like I said, I miss like the Runaways, the Miss Marvel, something that maybe is not breaking the internet, but it's just good stories, and I miss Marvel doing those.
They have so many characters that you could do so many things with. So it's good to see them here and there. The last book we got to talk about is one we already alluded to, which was Ultimate Invasion #1. Just really curious to see what they do with it, and how it sets up this new version of it.
But I don't love Hickman's writing, so I'm curious to see if I like it. I think it's gonna be very much like, this is why the universe is coming back, more than just like this is this character journey. Which again, I don't know if this is gonna be in my top 5 because of that, but I'm excited to see
charts and graphs. That's awesome.
So many charts and graphs.
And then Brian Hitch's art. I mean, it's iconic with Ultimate Universe, but at the same time, I'm very hot and cold with his art. It just depends on when he rushes, you can tell, and when he takes his time, you can tell, because he can be very detailed, or he can be very just, I don't know. It's night and day sometimes with his work, unfortunately. But
no, I very much agree. And I feel like I don't know if he's doing his own coloring, but either the colorist that he usually has or his own coloring is always very like bland. It's always like
Mm,
nothing really is popping with the
not
colors.
real
So
vibrant. Yeah.
yeah, it's not a vibrant looking book, but we'll see. Look, we'll definitely talk about it next week if we're on. But hopefully, we will be. Um, we do have two comments here. Tevye says, "Can we
Yeah.
have no more controversy in Marvel Comics?" I think when you're running such a big company, there's always going to be controversy because
Yeah.
someone's not going to be happy. So no, that's not going to happen because everything has controversy. Like you're
Yeah.
literally, it's impossible to make the world happy.
Yep.
So can't do that. And Mr. Negative said, "Are you going to check out Incredible Hulk?" Yeah, I'm going to check it out.
I'm gonna try it. Yeah. I'm not excited for it, but I'm gonna try it. We'll see. I
That's a
mean,
good
hopefully it'll be
answer.
good. Yeah. All right. That's all for our most anticipated then. And I guess that's it for the show.
It is. And again, hopefully we'll have all three of us next week. Again, thank
Yeah.
you for being patient with us. We are getting in the flow of things. And hopefully post 4th of July we'll be more consistent. But
Yeah.
thanks for hanging in with us.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely check all those links, hit that subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss any content going up on either channel, Comic Book Corner 2.0 or Comic Book Weekly, where you can find all the past episodes of the show. And give us a like because it helps and it shows us you like us. And check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. And we'll see you next time. So take care.
Bye, guys.